Welcome to Envibe Live Conversations with Amy Parker and Cheryl Dunn. By tuning in, you are joining a community that will inspire you to increase balance, wellness, and joy in your life. We'll offer expert information and insightful conversations to help us on our journey to live more Envibe. For more information and articles, remember to also check out our website at envibelife.com. That's ENVIBELIFE.com. We're grateful that you're here.
Good morning and welcome to Envibe Live Conversations with Amy Parker and Cheryl Dunn. I don't quite know where to begin. So Cheryl and I are recording this. We have some firsts going on. This is the first time we are publishing a podcast the exact same day we're recording it. And so that means we're recording on Tuesday, February 23rd right now, and we will publish this as soon as we can get it ready to go this afternoon. We have just come out in Austin, Texas, of snowpocalypse, or the great ice storm that has made national news, and so most people have heard about it. We thought we could get together and give some reflections on that, share some stories on it, and just maybe some survival tips. If it's survival, not survival like how to boil snow to flush your toilet, although that we did it. But getting through emotionally a time that is so stressful.
Right.
So just current status of affairs. I have power. I kept power the whole time. And my water was like a roller coaster on and off. And today, Tuesday the 23rd, I have had water pressure for 3 days, but my water supply is not yet stable. And we are still on a boil water notice. So you'll see drinking bottled water. How about you guys, Cheryl?
I feel like we're one of the lucky ones.
Mm-hmm.
We only lost electricity for a day. And it was a 24-hour period. And we never lost water. We did have low water pressure. Our boil water ban, I think, was lifted today or late last night. At some point, so we had different things happen in the house. Like in the back of my house, we lost all hot water from day one when it was like 8 degrees here and 8 inches of snow. No hot water in the back of the house, but I had it in the front of the house, right? And then our heater went out in the front of the house, but not in the back of the house. And that happened after our electricity went out, which was Wednesday, which was actually when it started to get a little bit warmer. We were up in the 30s versus the single digits.
Seemed so amazingly warm that day.
Amazingly warm, where we really just brought in some space heaters and we were fine. And lucky at my other office, we had a ton of space heaters that we were brought home. And the day that we were without electricity, it did start to get really cold. So we thought, let's just go camp out at the office. It's me and my husband and my 2 kids. We'll put out some thick mats and, we have electricity so we can watch Netflix. And that was all fine for about an hour. And then as it was time to go to sleep, the kids, of course, passed out and went to sleep really easy. My dog was a little confused, like, what are we doing? Steven and I toss and turn and toss and turn and toss and turn. And about 3 a.m, he said, I'm just going to go to the house and see what's going on, make sure our pipes aren't busting and that kind of stuff. Because it happens when you start to lose electricity and things start freezing, not only from the outside, but the inside. So as he was at the house checking, the electricity came on. And so he came back to the office at 3 a.m. and was like, Cheryl, the electricity's on. Do you want to go? I jumped up and was like, yes, we're out of here. So we woke the kids up and they were like, why are we leaving? We're like, because we can't sleep.
And so this was also lucky for you because you had a vehicle and the ability to drive the very, very short distance, almost walking distance from your home to your
Stephen has a
office.
4x4, so we were very lucky that we were able to get around because the roads were still not drivable. Right. And they got worse after that day.
They did.
Even though the temperatures warmed up, they were still in the freezing. And we, that first day, the snow was beautiful. And I felt like everyone was happy and fun and it was great. And it was real powdery. And there was just kids everywhere and the neighbors sliding down the hills.
Oh, see, that is very different from my neighborhood.
Yeah.
Because my neighborhood is one of the ones that, as everyone's seen on the news, at 2 a.m, got a notice from Austin Energy, we're going to start rolling blackouts. It went out at 2 a.m. and didn't come back until late Friday.
I see. Yeah,
and so by
experience.
Monday, no one was out playing in the snow. It was too cold. You couldn't go in and warm up. You couldn't, get dry. So in here, starting Monday, it was in my neighborhood. Starting on Monday, it was kind of an urgent situation or emergency situation, and there was no playing going on. Now, we were one of the only houses, like I said, that kept power the whole time, which was
shocking.
Curious. I mean, it's almost like there are 3 or 4 houses on my street and just a couple others randomly in the neighborhood, almost like you would just put polka dots on a map and we kept power. Have some reasons why that might be, but not completely sure. We have, an emergency services station near us. Maybe we just happen to be on the same main line that they are. I don't know what happened. Maybe it was just blind luck. I really have no idea. But that created an interesting dynamic in my neighborhood. So let's start talking about lessons learned. I think a lot of lessons learned from it, but one of my biggest was the importance and value of your community, and particularly your small community, your neighborhood. And I live in a fairly new neighborhood. I've been here a little over 2 years, and I've been here longer than most people around me. So everyone's moved in recently. In the last few months, a lot of us have kind of gotten to know who each other are, but just kind of as neighbors. We were a group operating together for a week. And, again, because we had power and a lot didn't, people were coming in and out here. We had one family staying with us for most of the week. And as they said, or she said, we started as neighbors and ended as good friends. It went amazingly well to have had the 2 families together for a week, and 4 dogs, and at one point 6 dogs, because we had someone else's with us for a little while. And it really went well. We did great. And I think it was, if anything, maybe a little more comforting or easy to go through, having that combined efforts together and combined energy, like personal energy, not power energy. Coming together made it a little more tolerable. And, also we went into a mode right away of, we are the lucky ones. Let's help those who aren't. On the resources we had. And so even though we had a lot and were able to find a lot, we didn't hoard it, like unwilling to share it. We were willing to share what we had.
Yes. I think that the interesting part, when you think of the mental aspect of last week, I talked about Monday being happy and fun in my neighborhood because we were able to go outside in our snow clothes and play. It quickly went downhill from there because there were people around me who lost water, and, then electricity went out 2 days after that. So, it went down, but there was a play day for us. But the mental aspect of a whole week of no work, no income, no, just a little isolation, because the kids played some, but then they started to just kind of stay in. Everybody in my neighborhood had electricity except for that one day. So everyone was kind of staying in their houses and trying to figure out the water thing, and making sure pipes didn't bust and that kind of stuff. And there were sections of my neighborhood that didn't have electricity. So it mentally, Stephen and I kept saying to each other, even though there were things that we could be doing work-wise, we couldn't wrap our head around doing it.
That's how I felt.
There was a fog in your head. It was a fog of energy. And I was actively trying, especially knowing that Amy and I, we actively seek out trying to live a more Envibe life, right? We try and seek out ways to lift our energy, lift our frequency, lift our mood. It was a lot more of an effort to do that last week in that, even though we were actively trying to do it. And Stephen and I did constantly have the conversation of how lucky we were and how this situation reminded us of being in a hurricane in our past. And those hurricanes.
Right, us too.
Yeah, and sometimes like our remembering of being in a hurricane was never a bad situation. Granted, we were not in New Orleans during Katrina, but we had been in many hurricanes before that. And they were like, oh, the lights are out, let's slow down and have fun. And it became this party situation. So our memories of being in these sorts of situations were what we were pulling on. And those were not bad memories for us.
I think that's a good point you made. I was constantly grateful for what we had. And here is one interesting dynamic I had to catch myself feeling grateful for what I had instead of guilty for being one of the lucky ones. And I did find myself having to balance that over and over and realizing if I didn't have it though, then if I didn't have this power, or even when I had a trickling of water, I wouldn't be able to cook dinner for my neighbors tonight. And I wouldn't be able to be in a position to help these other people. So I need to just share the responsibility of what was given to me with the gifts I was given this week, but don't feel bad about it. Don't turn it into a negative thing. Keep it at a high energy resonance. And so you're right. I think one of the reasons why my energy or my frequencies stayed high is I was constantly going back to that state of gratitude for how we were doing and how things were going, not letting myself fall into a spiral of anxiety or fear or worry about it.
But I think guilt,
keep it there.
like that's a very important thing you brought up, because I think I have even seen people post on social media about their guilt they were feeling because they weren't the ones that were without electricity for 7 days when it was 8 degrees outside and no water. I mean, those are reality. I have clients that happened to. That happened in this town, and then but they were posting that they felt guilty that they were the ones with electricity and water. And I agree with you. That's not, that is a feeling that I think is a real thing that can come up. But if you can take the time to acknowledge that you have it and change it to gratitude, that would help you draw more abundance so that you can help more people. And that's how you can do it.
And that's kind of what happened, actually, as you say that. And I did, like that first day, Monday, when you said y'all were playing in the snow, when I had power, none of my neighbors didn't. I worked all day that day. Cheryl and I have this big event coming up that's supposed to be this Sunday, the 28th. Hopefully most of you have seen the announcement. It has been pushed back a week to March 7th to respond to the fact that our whole city just needs time to recover. We don't want to draw from the food resources needed for the community at this time, or power or water. We want to have time for ourselves, for the Commodore Perry, who's hosting the live portion, to be able to recover and get back rolling. And just, the city just needs a little time to catch our breath. But then we also really feel like, man, we also need a day of wellness after this. So
everybody does.
I hope that we can help with that a little bit. And so stay tuned for some partnership opportunities for first responders and things like that to be able to access our program next Sunday, March 7th. Just to put that out there, you'll start seeing information about that. But because I had a lot piled up to do and thought I could lose power and not get it back like my neighbors. And so I worked. I got everything done. I worked. We got your article published last week, which is a really good one about staying in a place of gratitude. It's about the heart chakra and can help you get through this. And so I had that reaction. But okay, so here's another thing. Speaking of chakras, let's talk about, like, for a lot of people, this really did manifest emotionally in different ways. And I think all of us you had some sort of manifestation emotionally. Like, I know for my husband, it was, I must get us supplies. I must keep us going. And that he really went into a survival mode, caretaker, survival. But I mean, it's just, I think it's a root chakra thing when something like this happens, because we almost all have some sort of issues really in every chakra that can come up or be triggered.
Right.
And what something like this triggers is that desire for or fear of not having safety and security and stability, and where will my next meal come from, and when will I have food and shelter. And I mean, these can be primal things coming from our lineage.
Our grocery stores are cleaned out.
It's getting better.
Yeah, it's getting better. But last week
better.
there was no food. you know?
Well, and you couldn't get there anyway if you didn't have a car. So I think that is part of the anxiety that came up for a lot of people. I'll be interested to see what you see in your clinic as a result of this, if it's root chakra related
I've already had people show up with pelvis issues.
Okay.
And that started yesterday because of this, you know? And that's the thing, is that I want people to really understand is that your thoughts reflect in your body so much. And so you have control of your thoughts.
They manifest in some way. They're powerful.
They're they are the guiding force, your thoughts. Your perception is your reality, and your perception comes from your thoughts.
And so, I mean, one tip, I've talked about this before. Cheryl's writing an amazing series of articles on exercising for your different chakras. So go back and read the article on the root chakra. Maybe if you just want to free up that space energetically, even if you're not having a physical manifestation at this time in your lower back or sacrum or something like that, know that even emotionally, what you're storing in your body, you might be able to release if you move and free up the energy in those areas. And it might just even make you feel better or help you to get past that. You know, you may have some residual stress. And I mean, you went through a trauma or a traumatic situation for many people, and getting over that. Okay, I mean, your body stored that somewhere. So help your body get over that a little bit too, and recognize that you might need to. You might need some help getting over what you went through, and rebalancing yourself to know that now you are okay. And now you are safe. Right.
Definitely. But I think that, you know, the biggest tool, I mean, yes, there's so many survival tools out there that I'm hearing that would have helped last week, you know, we're hearing now. But I think the mental aspect is key in taking the first step to going back to normal, finding more balance, and building your frequency back up. If you recognize that it got down, you know, that sort of stuff. I think that, you know, start with your thoughts, and whatever that is that helped you, whether that's journaling, meditating, talking to a friend, getting outside and enjoying the nice weather now, that all of those are great tools. And maybe it's a combination.
Yeah. And we are blessed because, as extreme as that was in Texas last week, today is sunny and 70 degrees. And
it's
so
beautiful.
We get reminded right away that things will come back into balance. The sun will shine for sure. I had somewhere else I was going to go with this. Something you said. So just keep talking. It'll come to me.
But definitely, that's the one thing that I tried to focus on a lot last week, is to try and, even though I slept a lot.
I really didn't. I think I had so many people and
you had a lot of people.
We didn't house.
We didn't have extra people until the weekend, when everything was back on, except for we had some family relatives that didn't have water. So they came over with their kids to shower and stuff. And I think they have water now, but, you know, we didn't have that disturbance. But, you know, that disturbance did kind of shake things up, where I missed some stuff that I should have been on top of. So I can't imagine having a week of it. Because during the week, really, we only had to take care of us four in the house, which was a blessing, because I'm not as good as homemaker as Amy is. Like, if people came to my house to eat, I would have been like, maybe grilled cheese sandwiches.
Well,
we did eat
and that
a lot
was,
of that.
I will say, we were lucky. The house guests we had shared the duties, and they, you know, great cooks and supplier of things too.
So nice.
I remember what I couldn't remember earlier. You were talking about in working it out, journal or meditate.
Yeah.
And that I did do that. And that, I mean, here is where last week was weird for me. And we talked about this a little, where I'm normally a super introspective person. I didn't do any of that. I think there were only one or two times I did just a couple minute meditation when I kind of felt the need for it. I didn't do my normal meditations or journaling. I would have normally used that a week off, so to speak, of not being able to get out of my house as a time to read more, or maybe try to take some class that I hadn't been able to, that I had stored on my iPad or whatever it was. I didn't do any of those things until sort of the snow started thawing, literally and figuratively, and Sunday morning, and I meditated for a long time and I wrote. And it was like bullet points on my computer, and just like, wow, I had a lot of takeaways. I'm just going to start listing them. And then it was helping me to sort of process and have my, what did I learn from this? Like, as we talked about, me staying in a place of gratitude, I think helped tremendously.
I love it. I think it's great. So hopefully these little tools that Amy and I just gave about the mental reality of what going through something like last week was like, and how, we dealt with it and how we continue to deal with it.
Yes.
Help you guys. Yes. And do stay tuned regarding our event coming up March 7th. That is going to be a whole day of those tools. And
there will be a lot you can pull from that. And we've also, our whole schedule has been goofy because of last week. So we didn't release a podcast on Friday like we normally would. And we don't have a new article this Tuesday like we normally would. We're a little behind on those two things, but we have this special episode of the podcast coming out, and then we will be back on track next Friday, and you will see us get back to our normal schedule on everything now that we're starting to have things filed back into our normal system and schedule again. So thank you for bearing with us on those things.
Yeah. And we'll see y'all soon.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to Envibe Live Conversations. For more information and to join our community, be sure to check out our website at envibelive.com. We look forward to sharing with you.